So you don't want to lose your lawn to the summer heat this year. We all know that our lawns need at least 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water every single week. But how long am I supposed to water? How much water is that? Well, I'm going to tell you in this video, and I'm also going to tell you, if I were you, what sprinkler I would use to get the best coverage. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to give you a free watering guide that will walk you step by step and tell you just about everything you need to know so that you can keep your lawn looking beautiful all summer long. Let's get into the video. What's up, y'all? My name is Devin, the DIY Lawn Coach, and thank you so much for coming back for yet another video. Well, we have made it to May, and around here in Western North Carolina, things are really gonna start heating up. You know, we typically get our very first heat wave sometime in May. And a heat wave is defined as a period of time, maybe 2 or 3 days, where we're getting abnormally higher temperatures than normal. You know, up until now, our lawns have been incredibly happy, right? We're getting plenty of rainfall. Temperatures are fairly mild. Have we had warmer temperatures? Yes. But nighttime temperatures are cool, but that is all about to change. And so in today's video, I want to walk you through exactly how you can keep your lawn looking green all summer long. Now, it is no secret that without water, you're not going to have a lawn. Well, a nice looking lawn for very much longer. Now, sure, there are things that we can do to help reduce the amounts of water that we need. So let's start there first, because if you're not doing these things correctly to begin with, well, you're gonna really struggle to try to keep up with the watering throughout the summer. And the first thing that I want you to do to help reduce some of the watering that you're gonna need to do throughout the year, and that is to let your lawn grow. Now, typically I like to mow between 3.5 to 4 inches, but as the temperatures get really warm around here, I usually raise my mower deck. I get it up to 4.5 inches. And the main reason for that is, well, the grass blade is like a fuel tank, and the longer the grass blades, it helps retain moisture, it helps shade out the turf, it helps keep the soil a little bit cooler, and it just is overall just better for the plant. And so something else that you can do when it turns really hot is stay off the lawn. Try to reduce your foot traffic as best as you can. Now, I understand you have kids, you have sports, you have things going on, and you want to use that beautiful lawn of yours and show it off, and that is perfectly fine. That is your prerogative. But understand that your lawn is under a tremendous amount of stress. And so any additional foot traffic, you know, if you want to play football or throw a baseball or whatever, all you're doing is adding more stress to the lawn. So I would encourage you to try to limit that where possible. And also, talking about stress, don't be afraid to let your lawn go. It is okay. You know, up until now, we have been mowing every week, sometimes even twice a week. And once it gets hot, our lawns don't like it. And so they're really stressed out. So just let it be. If you need to go maybe 2 or 3 weeks without mowing when it gets really hot and really dry, that is okay. I'm of the opinion that I would much rather have a green lawn that's a little shaggy than a mowed, well-kept lawn that is brown. All right, so we've reduced the amount of mowing. We're mowing tall. What is something else that we can do? Well, there are some great products out on the market that will also help aid in the amount of water that we need. One of my favorites is a product called Irrigation, and it's just a moisture manager. And basically the way it works is it pulls moisture or humidity out of the air and brings it to the soil, down to the root structure of the turf, and helps it retain water. Now, it is not a substitute for water. It does not replace water. It's simply just a tool that we use to help reduce the amount of watering needs that we need throughout the year. And so the last thing that we could do started back in the fall with our core aeration and overseed. So the core aeration, really what it does is it helps loosen compaction, allowing the water that we do get to really soak in. You know, here in North Carolina, we have clay soil. And if you know anything about clay, it gets rock hard when it gets dry. And so water, when it rains, will sit on top of that clay and then wash off, and it won't actually soak into the soil. All right, so as long as we are mowing tall, we are reducing the amount of foot traffic, we're reducing the amount of mowing that we're doing. You know, we're using products like Irrigation to help us get through those really stressful periods. And then we aerate in the fall, and we're using aerate to help loosen compaction. All of those things go a long way to the overall strategy of how we're going to keep our lawns looking great all summer long. So let's talk about what happens when you don't water first. Well, when you don't water and your lawn gets under stress, it goes into what's called dormancy. And basically this is your grass's natural defense mechanism to help retain water. So if your lawn starts to turn brown because of the summer dormancy, that is perfectly normal. Again, that is just your grass protecting itself. But what we don't want to happen is for our lawn to stay dormant for a long period of time. And we certainly don't want the crown of the plant to dry out. Otherwise, when the cooler temperatures do end up coming back, the plant is gonna be dead and you're gonna end up having to repair those spots. And so a little side note here, we really don't want the lawn to go in and out of dormancy as much as possible. So right now, you need to make the decision as to whether you're going to water or whether you're going to not water. If you are not going to water and you're just gonna say, hey, I'm gonna let it go, I can't afford to water, I don't have the time to water, that's okay. Just utilize those mowing tips and those other things that we talked about to help you through the process. And then once your lawn does go into dormancy, you really need to stay off of it. Don't mow it, don't walk on it, because the crowns of those plants are extremely brittle and can break, and you could actually kill your lawn much faster if it's in dormancy and you're on it all the time. So if you made the choice that you are going to water throughout the year, you know, as I've said a couple different times, you need 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water per week. So how do we know how much that is? How do we know how long we're supposed to water to get that 1 inch to 1.5 inches? Well, partner, I water 15 minutes every single day. That ought to do. Well, nope, that's not gonna work. And here's why. Because every lawn is different, every water pressure is different, every sprinkler is different, every hose is different. And so you've got two options. Option number one is, how much do you like tuna? If you love tuna, go buy some and get yourself some tuna cans, and this will work great. These are the deeper tuna cans, and what I did is I put a line inside the tuna can to mark a 1/2 inch and 1 inch, all right? Or if you don't like tuna, which I'm not a huge fan of tuna, I'll leave a link to Amazon where you can go find these little cups. Now these are fantastic. They've got clear indicator lines for the amount of water, and it's really simple. Get yourself a timer, grab your cell phone, set your timer, and then whether you have an in-ground system or whether you have a regular, whatever kind of sprinkler that you have, it will work great. You're simply gonna set these cups or this tuna can out into the middle of that stream, and then you're gonna run your irrigation until it gets to a 1/2 inch. And then however long it takes your system to run to get you to that 1/2 inch, that's gonna tell you how much or how long you need to water, because we're gonna do that twice per week to get that full inch of water every single week. Now I want to caution you and let you know, I don't want you to be surprised by the amount of time it takes to get a 1/2 inch of water. So for my irrigation system, I have to run it for 1 hour or 60 minutes to get a 1/2 inch of water. Now that is a long time and it's a lot of water, so don't be surprised by that. And so that's why running that irrigation system for just 15 minutes of it at a time is not gonna work. Isn't it beautiful? I just love watching the water. So if you don't have an in-ground system, here is the sprinkler setup that I would use if I were you. And it's basically 3 components, and I'll link them all below where you can go check them out if you wanna do this yourself. Costs around 15 bucks to do. Really simple. So the first thing you need, this is the Orbit pop-up head. It's a 25 to 50 foot spray. In that will come these little nozzles, and I'll show you what those look like here in just a second. But you also need this spike that has 2 different sides. So you can screw your hose into this side, and if you want to connect multiple together, you just unscrew this side, or you just put the cap on it. All right, and the other thing that you need is an adapter, because this is a 3/4 inch and this is a 1/2 inch. So the adapter that you need, and I put blue thread tape on it just so that it didn't leak. You just screw that on there, and then you screw that on there, and it becomes one piece. And so this is what it looks like when it's all put together. Now I did splurge, okay, and I put a quick connect on here, and I'll show you why I like that. I don't wanna have to fuss with the hose trying to screw it in there, so this is just a plastic Orbit quick connect, so I can just connect my hose in there really nice. But inside every Orbit sprinkler is gonna come these nozzles that look just like this. And here's why I love this setup, guys. Here is why this is such a game changer, is because it doesn't matter what your water pressure is, what obstacles like trees, bushes, what your throw pattern is. This sprinkler setup is fantastic, right? This is exactly the same sprinkler head that I have in ground in my system now. The reason why I like it is because I can control 360 degrees, I can control 180 degrees, and it's all done by this little dial here. It's got a little set screw that we can adjust the throw distance. Again, I can customize this to be exactly what I want. Go around obstacles, stop before so that it doesn't hit my house. And then depending on my water pressure or how many of these I hook together, you can change out the nozzle so that you can say, I want to do 2 gallons per minute, or 3 gallons per minute, or 5 gallons per minute, or half a gallon per minute, whatever your water pressure is. So let me throw this in the ground and show you exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so let me give you a real world example. So you can see, right, if I had one of those oscillating, one of those fan sprinklers, right, like how would I get around this corner and bend and not get it all over the driveway? I would be throwing water everywhere. Not to mention, when we throw water up, what happens, right? The wind can get it and take it and throw it in places that we don't want it to go. And so what's really nice about the sprinkler is we can just set it in the ground, we'll adjust the throw distance, and we'll adjust to make sure it's throwing correctly so that we get just the grass, not the driveway. We're not throwing it up in the air, and we're dialing in exactly to what I need. So we'll just come in here and we're gonna stick it down in the ground. And the thing to know about these sprinklers is, especially the Orbit, now all of them are a little bit different, but this one you set to the right and then you adjust going to the left. So you can see how this one is stopped all the way to the right, and you can see the arrow on top, that's pointing where the water is gonna come out. Okay, so actually I need to pull this out and I'm gonna line it up exactly with the driveway. See that arrow? Just like that. Okay, so now when I turn it on, it'll stop all the way to the right, and then when I adjust this, it'll turn all the way to the left, and it's going to throw just over the rocks, and this is going to be absolutely perfect. So if I wanted to adjust this, there's a key that you set in this hole, and you can adjust how far left it throws. Again, remember, it always stops to the right position, and all you're doing is adjusting the left, right? So that's perfect. All right, let's hook up some water and show you what this throw pattern looks like. Have I mentioned how much I love this hose link? How cool is this? All right, so now all we gotta do is take this quick connect and we'll just hook it right into there. And voila, we got water. So you can see it is spraying right down the right side of the driveway. It stops to the right, goes all the way to the left, and then clicks and stops. So if we wanted to change the distance, say we didn't want to throw, we just want to throw it right up these rocks, this is the key that you use. You stick it down here in the hole and you adjust it, and so now it stops. Let's adjust it a little bit more. So we want to go just, now we want to go just to the rocks. See, so we can adjust exactly how we want it to throw. And say we don't want to throw that far, okay? So you use this end right here, stick it down in the hole, and it diffuses the spray so that it doesn't spray quite as far, and it breaks up the stream, right? So that is awesome. And what's nice about this is I can quickly just disconnect it and move on and do the next one. All right, guys, so that is it. Now, if you want a free guide for how to water your lawn and make sure you get the right amount of water, here's what I need you to do. Go to my website, thediylawncoach.com, sign up for my email alerts, and it will automatically come to your inbox 100% free. It's gonna be a great summer. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. My name is Devin, I'm the DIY Lawn Coach. I can't wait to see you in the lawn. Peace.